March 19th, please. Pledge allegiance. Brian, will you lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Mary, roll call.
Keith Guidry.
Here.
Ronald Colley.
Here.
Roland Curall.
Here.
Mitch Danos.
Here.
Brett DeRoche.
Here.
Scott Terrio.
Here.
Brian Martz.
Here.
McNeely Rome.
Here.
Monty Vegas.
Here.
Mr. President, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Mary. Okay, gentlemen, you've been presented the minutes of last month's meeting. Moved by Max, second by Monty, that we approve. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed. Okay, moving on to the President's report. My first thing is the commissioners of our port want to thank you guys for allowing us to use this building, this fine facility. We really appreciate the help and the cooperation with you guys all the time. And also, I'd like to welcome guys like Mr. Marco Piciol and all the guys that were there at the beginning. John Plaisance representing his father, and they're the guys that started our levee, and they were from the ground floor. So we appreciate you guys being here. And if I missed anybody else, and Jimmy Battles, a lot of the old guys.
Hey, what we said? Kind of hold up there.
All right. Our next item in my report is for the position of executive secretary. We need to move over from Wendell to Nick now. So we need a
formal motion by the board, yes.
Need a motion.
You want to do it now, unanimously by the board, or just, I'll move.
Okay.
I second.
Moved by Monty, second by Mr. Ronald, that we approve Nick as our executive secretary. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, just a quick update. Wendell, Nick and I went with the MAC group last week to Washington, and we thought we had very, very good feedback. We met with a bunch of the congressmen. We met with Steve Scalise came out, Senator Cassidy. It was very productive with Gordy Dove as our new CPRA chairman. We've had some really good responses, so it was well worth our while for sure.
So, Mr. President, if I could tack on to the end of that to kind of give some detail. So we met with Eddie Belk, who's the Director of Civil Works for the Army Corps of Engineers for the nation, Congressman Graves and his staff, Senator Kennedy's staff, Majority Leader Scalise's staff, then later Mrs. Scalise himself, like Keith mentioned, then Senator Cassidy's staff, and then later Senator Cassidy himself. We also met with Congresswoman Letlow and her staff, Speaker Mike Johnson's staff. We did get to meet with Speaker Johnson for all of, I think, 45 seconds before he had to run back to the floor. So it was a busy week last week for him for sure. But our first meeting with Mr. Belk of the Corps of Engineers, we had a joint meeting with the Morganza Action Coalition and pointed out to him that the northwesternmost sections of our levee are part of the Morganza to the Gulf alignment. And that since Katrina, we have completed $140 million worth of construction projects here in South Ridge Levee District. We have $10 million more in construction right now, $55 million more at some stage of engineering and design right now. And we were excluded from the rehabilitation and inspection program since 2011, and that for the past couple of years, we've been trying to get back into the rehabilitation program by doing these after-the-fact permits, where the Corps is looking at how we built things 15, 17 years ago, instead of looking at them now on their own merit for the strength that they've been gaining over these past 15, 17 years. And so pointed out to him that along the Morganza to the Gulf alignment, we're currently at a plus 13, but the Morganza to the Gulf post-authorization change report had that section of levee authorized to a plus 16. So eventually, the Corps of Engineers is going to have to come over that section, which is section C North and part of section F along the intercoastal, and they're going to have to raise that another 3 feet. Now, practically speaking, when the Corps comes to do that, they're not going to knock down our levees, right? They're going to go out and they're going to survey, they're going to do geotech, and they're going to determine what more they need to do to get those levees up to 16 feet at 100-year level of storm protection. So what our question was while we were up there was, why can't you just do that now to the entire levee system? Why go back and look how we built them instead of what's there now as the existing conditions? And so we've been working with Congressman Graves' office because he sits on the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee that's going to be introducing the Water Resources Development Act of 2024. Every couple of years, they have a WRDA bill, as it's called shortly, that levee projects, water navigation projects, that anything that needs to be authorized by Congress for the Corps of Engineers to follow goes through this WRDA bill. But it can also be changes to existing projects or policies. And so drafted some language that would authorize the Corps of Engineers New Orleans District to come and study our system for its existing conditions and have the Corps say what more they would need to do before we could be accepted into the rehabilitation program. And if the answer is nothing, that we meet all of their criteria now, there's no reason they should keep us out of the rehab program. And so I pitched that idea to Mr. Eddie Belk of the Corps of Engineers, and his response was that we could do that, or we could have Congress be more direct and just say directly that we are back in the rehabilitation program. His exact words were to have Congress say, poof, you're back in the RIP. And so that was kind of the running joke for the rest of the week. Everything was poof. But, so we got that completely changed the tone of the rest of our conversations while we were up there last week. And we got complete support from all of our congressional delegation. So we're going to be working with Mike Henry of the lobbyist for the Morganza Action Coalition to reword some of that language to have that more direct approach. And if we get any opposition as we move along, the worst case is that we'll go back to the original language of authorizing the Corps to come and actually do the study, which we're confident, especially after Hurricane Ida's performance, that we would definitely be put back into the rehab program. And then we also got some support from our congressional delegates for the stalemate that we're currently in with FEMA. FEMA's currently holding about $1 million hostage from our Hurricane Ida damage repairs that we did to our pump stations and our gates, as well as the Crawfish Farm flood wall on Section D South. Because they're saying that because we're not in the rehabilitation inspection program with the Corps, we're not getting money from the Corps. But according to FEMA, because we're a federal project, the Corps should be responsible for paying for us. So those two programs are conflicting with each other, and it's because of an interpretation that we don't agree with that FEMA is making with the public assistance and policy guidance. So we explained that situation to our congressional delegates, and Senators Kennedy and Cassidy both committed to starting by sending letters that I'll draft for them, but they'll send those over to FEMA, and Congressman Scalise's office also is going to be taking a direct approach to contacting FEMA and trying to get that pushed along. Because again, it's a matter of interpretation. It's not clear black and white that they're correct in this situation. So, and then finally at dinner on Tuesday evening in Washington, we had Majority Leader Scalise join us at dinner and presented Mr. Reggie Dupree of the Terrebonne Levee and Conservation District and Wendell Curall with some flags that were flown over the Capitol in their honor to commemorate their retirement this year, as well as a couple models of the Capitol Dome. So all in all, very productive and promising week. So thank you, Mr. Guidry, also for coming with us. It was definitely productive.
Okay, thank you, Nick. Okay, moving on to the executive committee report, Mr. Ron.
Okay, Executive Committee met last Tuesday, and the meeting was called to order at 8 a.m. Items discussed was repairs of the Ontario floodgate. Mr. Bethard updated committee on the damage related to recent barge impact. Pursuant Associates performed an investigation into damages and has recommended repairs exceeding $300,000. Now, understand that the $300,000 is not done damage by the barge. Some is just normal wear and tear that's been happening over the years down there. Okay, so we would need $300,000 to repair that. The committee recommends to the board that we do an authorized advertising and accepting of bids to repair this. The moved by Monty, seconded by Scott, unanimously carried. Mr. Mathern briefed the committee in the upcoming meetings in Washington during the Mississippi Valley Flood Control Association fly-in, where he, Mr. Guidry, and Mr. Curo would be meeting with congressional staffers regarding a word or language drafted by Mr. Mathern to authorize the Corps of Engineers to evaluate the levee system under some conditions is what Mr. Mathern was talking about. Also, we informed the committee that the agreement with the Scully Corporation to cover their pump station discharge pipes along the Section E North was under review by the Scully Corporation Legal Counsel. It was brought before the board for adoption. It will be brought to the board for adoption after revisions be reviewed by South Lafourche Levee District Legal Counsel. There were no other matters, and the meeting was adjourned.
Okay, any questions, Ms. Brown? Okay. Moving on to audience comments. First we go to Henri Boulet. Okay, and then, yeah.
Can you get the slides out? Yeah. Hey, good afternoon, gentlemen, and thank you for having me back. It's been a year or two since I updated y'all on several things. Certainly, I've taken over the directorship of Morganza Action Coalition, and I'm going to give you an update on things it is doing, but I'm also going to give you a little update on LA1, because the Levee District was very gracious in working on that project with the Corps in allowing the highway to cross over the levee and allowing the T-wall to be built into it. So, next slide. Just for the benefit of the viewing audience, you know, the LA1 project is in green, yellow, and purple up here, and it will be a 19-mile elevated structure that includes the on and off ramps in Levee that will remain there. Currently, we're building the final last section in green between Golden Meadow, and it'll come down and tie into the Levee Bridge. Altogether, that expenditure is going to be about $846 million. The highway is going to cost in total. Currently, the contractor is scheduled to complete the project by July of 2027. And I think that's going to depend on the next hurricane seasons. If they don't have no shutdown time, then they can really move. All right, next slide. So this just shows the need for that project. Y'all know better than anyone what happens with surge levels in along south of the system. This shows old LA1. This was during Hurricane Rita, and it shows the new highway behind it. That section was not open yet, but again, the finished structure will clear 17 feet underneath it. Then it has 5 feet of bridge depth, so your car tires will be riding on 22 feet above sea level. Next slide. So this is just a current photo of the construction. As y'all know, it is being built with the end-on construction method, and that makes not need, for the most part, a construction canal to build it from barges on the side. Instead, they put down these temporary pilings, then they weld trestles onto those, and the cranes travel on the trestle, and they build the highway underneath them. So, all right, next slide. So just a little update on the Morganza system. That alignment is in yellow here. It is a 98-mile levee system with approximately over 20 floodgates, operational floodgates, and 21 environmental water control structures, which are basically large culverts that go through the levee system that are open most of the time, but which the local levee district has the authority to close them when there's a threat of high tides coming in from the Gulf. And before we move on to that slide, that has the ability to close in and stop those huge saltwater surges of going into our inland marshes is helping to rejuvenate a lot of dead marsh that was there inside that system. So that's a huge environmental benefit that we're pushing in Washington with the Biden administration, the environmental benefits of the project. Okay, next slide. This is that same alignment that just kind of shows the towns on the inside of the system, and obviously it connects to the South Lafourche system here in Cutoff on the west side, and in La Rose at the Intracoastal on the east side there. For the benefit of the viewers in South Lafourche, you're going to see in a few years a huge floodgate being built in the Intracoastal Canal in La Rose, and when you cross over the overpass, if you look at North American Shipbuilding, it's going to be right on the other side of that. And that floodgate will tie into the South Lafourche system, and then it will have a levee that will go north toward Lockport. And you're looking at that alignment right now. Eventually, we're hoping the Corps will extend that alignment going all the way up to Highway 90, taking a right, and then connecting with the Barataria system, levee system that goes through St. Charles, and eventually connecting to New Orleans. And when you think about that, gentlemen, that would give all the communities from the Mississippi River, basically to the Atchafalaya, 100-year level storm protection for all our communities. So that would be a great thing. Next slide, please. So in that system right now, there's over 1.2 billion of state and local investment. Much of that comes, Terrebonne Levee District has put a tremendous amount of money into it, just as you have, and the taxpayers here have put into South Lafourche similarly through sales tax and property millages. As well, CPRA has put in $300 million, and there's $400 million coming from the Restore Act that will basically fund the majority of the Houma Navigation Canal lock complex that just went to bid, and they're about to sign the construction contract for $328 million for that lock complex. And Terrebonne Parish government has done quite a bit on Morganza and the inland levee system with $200 million. So you have $1.2 million already invested, really. You have another $440 million coming from the federal government in various pots. Much of that is from the bipartisan infrastructure bill that Senator Kennedy and 10 other bipartisan senators brought for the entire country as an investment in infrastructure. And we're going to have some earmarks that are coming this way. Just last week, our earmark for $28 million for the federal government's fiscal year 2024 was approved in an appropriation bill. So altogether, you're looking at about $1.6 billion being invested in that particular alignment. And it's going to be wonderful. It'll extend the protection South Lafourche has had for its community to additional people in Lafourche Parish going north and all of Terrebonne Parish. Next slide, please. I'm just showing you a few brief slides. These are in Lafourche Parish. As you know, your board was kind enough before Ida to work with Terrebonne Levee District in taking the lead in the segments of Reach K and L. We know that Hurricane Ida was really hard on Lower Lafourche and Lower Terrebonne, and and Terrebonne Levee District agreed to take it back over. This is a photo of Reach K that comes basically from Pointe-aux-Chenes toward Lafourche Parish and will connect to Reach L by the Grand Bayou flood protection. And so right here, this is going to, the construction going on will bring it up to 11 feet on Reach K. That's a good thing. Next slide. And this is in Reach L. You know, we've had challenges there because there's an area where 4 pipelines will go under the levee, and so we couldn't put that much weight on the pipelines when it was worked out with their companies, but they allowed us to put this thing called the Flexi Float that you're looking at. That allows 18-wheelers to cross over the pipelines with dirt to continue building the other side of Reach L, and it disperses the weight so that that weight won't affect the pipelines. Now, in this 300 feet, eventually a cement T-wall will be built. They're designing that right now, working with the Williams company that has some of the pipelines, and everyone's involved from the state level to the locals on that. So that will be forthcoming. All right, moving on. Next slide. Just for the benefit of your viewership, this is the $326 million lock complex. It's the right part of this picture. The left part, as you know, is already built. That's a floodgate, the Bubba Dove floodgate that operates. And, you know, the wall on the right of it used to go all the way into that land there. But the contractor has dredged out where the lock will be, and now the contractor who will actually build the lock will start on that in the next month. So every administration is different in DC, as y'all know, from the Trump administration to the Biden administration. Biden administration wanted to know, you know, how will this project not only support energy security for the country, but also the environmental benefits. So we're pushing very hard the environmental benefits, and they actually have an initiative the White House put together called Justice 40 that seeks to make sure that 40% of overall federal investments in climate and clean energy flow through disadvantaged communities. So with that criteria, we looked at, hey, you know, what are the census blocks on the inside of the system that will benefit from this flood protection? And we have demonstrated to the federal government that certainly, you know, we have some challenges. We have 20% of our residents in poverty. We do qualify as having a large minority population when you add the Hispanic, Asian, African, and Native Americans. And that they also put into their model to qualify, you know, what is your risk from natural disasters? And when they model out, you know, hurricanes that we've seen in the Gulf and the potential for those type of events taking buildings down, if we wouldn't have our levee systems, then the community would fall in the 96th percentile for at risk of loss of buildings, and we would be rated throughout the country in the high 95th percentile for residents that could get hurt from these events. So that gives them the reason to say, y'all need this system. And we all know we need these systems, but we're trying to make sure we qualify in every administration, whether it's a Biden administration or a Trump administration. We're going to push real hard. Next slide. So I told you how the inside of the system is rebuilding. This photo right here is taken in the exact same place, but 9 years apart. So it was before Morganza was built, is on the left, and after Morganza was built on the right. This is taken in the state wildlife management, Pointe-aux-Chenes wildlife management area, but it's a real example to DC of the environmental benefits of the systems. All right, next slide. So, we are progressing with it, and in 2020, the Morganza system finally got the status of a core levee system. They call that a new start. It was very competitive to get that. That was awarded by the Trump administration to our community. We want to see South Lafourche get back into the rehabilitation program for the Corps so that we're all core levee systems and we can all get the benefits that we deserve from the Corps in future maintenance and build-outs. But we're going to continue working on all the other investments coming in. And last slide, please. We're growing the Morganza Action Coalition. I'm working with many companies that were part of the LA1 Coalition and said, y'all ought to support this coalition. And when you meet with an oil company, they say, well, Henri, tell me why. And it's because if our community has decent levee protection, it protects their workforce that they really need. And hopefully, when we get all the systems up, we will lower our federal flood protection costs. That is a real issue for all of us that live in this area and have homes in South Lafourche, North Lafourche, or Terrebonne Parish. So that's another huge incentive we see is we want to have the systems be recognized within the federal government as 100-year protection so we could go back to FEMA and work on getting reasonable flood insurance for the people of the Bayou region. So we would love to have South Lafourche join the coalition formally. I'll work with Nick on that in the coming weeks. But I did want to introduce to you someone who works with me for Morganza Action Coalition. He is our DC project representative. His name is Mike Henry. And Mike, if you could start walking up. Mike has years of experience in lobbying in Washington, D.C. He worked with me on LA1 and helped make that project possible. So Mike, if you could come say a few words. Oh,
Thank you, just in time too. Sorry to be a little bit late. And it's nice to see all of you. I was thinking on the drive over here from Terrebonne that in, I think it's 43 years, right? I don't see Wendell here, but in the 43 years, Wendell, was executive director. I don't think he ever invited me to address you guys, so I'm very happy to be here today. It only took Nick a few months, and here I am. But I think what Henri wanted me just to mention is a little bit of an update from the trip that we had just last week in Washington, D.C. Great trip, multiple levee districts there. We had a meeting with the lead civilian with the Corps, Eddie Belk, who's had a variety of roles, and I think it's been helpful to this region, not just the Morganza project, but I think this region in general, and the state, frankly, but especially the area that's near and dear to your heart. Nick asked a really good question with him about how do we get through this era that, as Henri said, I've been doing this long enough to remember the certified levee and fighting for the federal system to have it decertified to now going through this process again to try to get your system that has performed so well over all these years with your own money recognized, right? And avoid a lot of problems. And I was going to avoid the word poof, but I don't know.
We've already said it.
You've already said it, all right. But because I don't think the poof strategy is sophisticated as this strategy really is, but it was a great meeting, as you guys already know. And as we were meeting with the MAC board just last week, talking about the trip and how everything went, the conversation was around, what can MAC do to be useful, helpful to you guys? Because what you're trying to do, having this segment certified, having your system back to being recognized after all the time and money and success that's been put into it, is something that MAC really wants to do. And so I guess just with that, I just wanted to say I'm excited to be assisting you. I think that it's directly in line with the Morganza Action Coalition's tenure. We work collaboratively on the system across with not just North Lafourche, but South Lafourche, obviously you guys as well. And anyway, happy to be of assistance to you and looking forward to celebrating Wendell's departure. Maybe not jubilantly. I think there's been some question like, why is everyone so happy to party
Wendell's departure, but happy to talk to you after this meeting or answer any questions today. But just wanted to report back to that. I think that meeting went really well. I think we have a solid strategy, and my instructions from the MAC board, without any equivocation, is to do all we can to be helpful to you to try to get the proof strategy implemented. So thanks for a minute of time.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. Any questions? Daniel, you wanted to say?
I just want to thank the Levee District Board for doing what y'all do and all your people that serve before you guys. I've been there a long time dealing with the Levee District, and we always had a real good working relationship. And when I had to deal with Wendell, that was a little tougher. But Wendell has been there for 43 years, and I have been there for 41 years. So we basically worked together. And I can remember times when we had to sandbag before you completed your cycle. And it was rough. They had some good times, they had some bad times, but since the people came up with the taxes and the levee district came forward, built the levees, we're in real good shape. Because you never know when the levee's gonna break now. It's not guaranteed to not break, but hopefully it'll never break. The last time we flooded, I think, was in 1985 from a levee break. And if you'd have had the levees you had today, it wouldn't have happened. But Mother Nature, you can't control that. So I want to wish Wendell well in his retirement and hope for the best. He maybe can go to bed at night not thinking the levees. You never know. But one thing I want to bring to his attention, and you people, you know, today you have better media coverage no matter where you go. But in the older days, all of a sudden, tonight, a big bad weather passes over us. So the next day I called Wendell. I said, Wendell, what the hell happened? He said, Daniel, that's one of them unnamed storms. That's what he'd call it, an unnamed storm. But today you better equipped with, they can warn you on everything, you know. And we had many nights like that. And again, I want to personally thank him for what he has done and what he has accomplished. And I want to wish him well. And also, while I'm here, I might as well take care of Reggie Dupree. He's retiring too from Terrebonne. So thank y'all. Continue doing what you're doing. The people are very nice from this area. They will give you the money you need if you show them you're doing something. And y'all have shown that, and y'all have proven that. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you, Daniel. Thanks for what you do. Okay, moving on, General Manager's report. Nick? I'm sorry, anybody else from the audience? Okay. It's your floor, Nick.
All right, thank you, Mr. President. First item up is the CPRA annual plan. So CPRA board met last Thursday in Baton Rouge. They reviewed and they voted on the fiscal year 25 annual plan, and included in that plan was a little over $5 million for various projects that are ongoing right now that we've already partnered with CPRA on. Also, the $5 million of state surplus that the state committed to previously for converting the Ted Gisclair floodgate into a lock. That $5 million is included in the FY25 annual plan. We've also included $2 million to begin lifting Section A West behind the town of Golden Meadow to 19.5 feet. The remaining estimated $1.5 million is going to come later. We also have $1.5 million in there to continue Section E North that we're currently working on, lifting that section to plus 14. Then there's $500,000 to complete the D North ramp project. That's lifting the road on Loop's facility. We also have the $3.2 million to complete the Section F berm improvement that's going on right now, and $7 million to lift Section A East on the east side of the town of Golden Meadow to 19.5. So all that was included in this coming fiscal year's annual plan. So that was voted on and approved unanimously. That now moves to the state legislature for approval during this regular session that just started last Monday before the governor then signs it. And then that money that's approved will be available to us starting July 1st. One thing I mentioned in there was the funding of the next item for the LaRose Lock, the Ted Gisclair floodgate. We've been working to design and try to get that constructed. The last piece we need is obviously the money. And so in addition to the $5 million pledged for the Ted Gisclair lock conversion that I just mentioned in the annual plan, CPRA Chairman Gordon Dove, that was with us in Washington last week, shared with us while we were up there that he included that last $15 million that we need to construct the lock in the supplemental appropriations bill that's going to be coming up this legislative session. So the $40 million in total is estimated right now, including a contingency and construction management. We've got the original $5 million in state surplus. We have previously pledged $5 million of our own funding. And Lafourche Parish government is in the final stages of getting $15 million from FEMA through the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program. That has passed all the benefit cost analyses. It's just kind of in the final stages of getting through the last bit of paperwork. And then, so Chet Chasson, director here, Port Fourchon, Archie Chasson, our parish president, and I met a few weeks back to determine where we were going to get that last $15 million. We decided that the best thing would probably be to schedule a meeting with the new CPRA chairman, Gordon Dove, and it turns out all it took was just the phone call requesting the meeting, and he asked, well, what did we want the money for? So Archie said the lock, and he said, well, we'll put it in, don't worry about it. So it was very good to have Chairman Dove there, understanding the importance with all his work on the Morganza to the Gulf project and the Home Navigation Canal lock that Henri just explained, understanding the importance of locks to our community, that it just took a quick phone call to get that last $15 million now that he's in there. So next up is GIS Engineering. They've presented amendment number 1 to their contract for professional services for reconnection of Breton Canal to Bayou Lafourche. We are ready to request authorization to bid, and that's later on in the agenda. They do have an amendment that they've sent to me. I reviewed, definitely agreed. This would be removing most of the permitting and geotech work that was previously part of the contract. And it would add resident project representative services throughout construction, as well as some reimbursable expenses. The total overall increase after the reductions in permitting and geotech is $54,120. Now, this is all time and materials. So this is the kind of work that if they don't do it for whatever reason, because we end up not needing it, construction doesn't last as long as we anticipate, we don't have to pay for that. So we only pay for what we actually need. But we would need a motion to approve from the board this amendment number 1 to the contract with GIS Engineering for professional engineering services related to the reconnection of Breton Canal to Bayou Lafourche. And I know John and Kevin are both here if y'all have any questions.
Okay. All right, you've heard the recommendation of our general manager to approve the amendment number 1. Moved by Mac, second by Mr. Ronald. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed.
Thank you, gentlemen. The next item would be the letter agreement with the Scully Corporation for covering the Clovelly discharge pipes. We briefly mentioned that during Mr. Collet's summary of the executive committee meeting, but as of today, I have not received back the comments from Scully Corporation on the letter agreement that I drafted and that our legal counsel reviewed. So we'll table that one until April. Next, we have pump station number 2. We need repairs done to pump number 1 at pump station number 2. The threads on the studs that hold the packing gland in place have rusted out, so the packing gland does not line up anymore. We need to take that pump out to replace it. That's going to be a very tedious task. We're going to have to open the roof, hire a crane to pull the pump, and then bring it over to a shop to have all that remachined. And then once we take that out, similar to the situation with the north gates of the Lee Ontario lock, how we knew certain things had to be done when we took out that gate, but then Pisione Associates, who was a project manager there, worked with Sea Level Construction to identify any other things that we wouldn't be able to see until the gates were lifted out to see what change orders may need to happen there. This would be a similar situation, and so we would recommend that Pisione Associates would work with us to organize this, getting quotes from companies and having the work done, because it looks like it'll be in excess of what my limit is to get projects going without board approval, and also the president's. So we would need board approval to start that process of getting these repairs done.
Gentlemen, you've heard the recommendation of our general manager. Motion by Scott, second by Monty.
Did Nick, we have a cost right now? Ballpark figure on the repairs?
Do we have a?
21,
The packing bushing is gonna be about $25,000, but so there's additional costs, like Nick said, to take the roof off the pump station and lift it out with a crane.
Correct.
And then we've got, Drake got a preliminary quote from Bolin Marine, who did the last pump repairs, to fix this packing bushing and the threading problem. And that was about $25,000. But when we start tearing the pump apart, it's, from my understanding, it's never been performed any maintenance on it at all so far. So it's been there since the
Redo it.
80s.
Redo
So we're gonna
that.
have to redo the bushings.
that's
I'm
original.
thinking we probably have to
total repair.
re-journal the shaft,
Yeah,
all of this
all that.
extra stuff, check the impeller and rework that. So
100 grand.
we'll have to, like Nick said, we'll have to get an estimate as we go. And just have to make sure that the estimate's fair and the scope of work is right.
Okay.
Yeah, and Boland's has done our work before, so it's
Yes.
not, and we compared them to Bollinger and everybody else, so it's not like it's a fly-by-night company.
To make you do that.
Our guys will be able to undo everything, our people, or
No,
the pump and all that.
It's already apart, I think.
the Levee District people will assist when, they'll get Grand Shipyard to help undo the roof.
Right, and the
They'll
crane
assist,
and that.
Pick it up out and
Then
put
we're
it on a
finished.
truck. And
Okay.
then it'll be worked on at Bolin Marine, more than likely.
Yeah, okay.
Okay?
Okay, we need a motion for the board to accept. Okay,
We got a
need a
motion.
motion?
We got a motion in a second, all right?
Oh, we did?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I second now.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Next, on March 6th, we performed our road barrier closure exercises. And so we created a little video of what our guys do every year for the community to be able to see, and we posted this on Facebook a couple weeks ago. So we closed or practice closing the road barrier across Highway 3235 in LaRose, and as well as the swing gate on LA 657, which is Delta Farms Road, and then the swing gate on LA 1 at the Leon Ontario Lock in Golden Meadow. This is good practice for our field personnel to be able to deploy and retract the structures, and it's also a chance for us to test and inspect for repairs well before hurricane season comes to make sure that everything's working and in order. So we've got a little highlight of each of the gates being closed, but in the interest of time, you can check out our Facebook page, South Lafourche Levee District, for the rest. Keep you in suspense. Then lastly, Leadership Lafourche, the class of 2024 had their Economic Development Day on March 5th, and as part of that, they stopped at the Leon Ontario Lock, give them an overview of the history of the Levee District, our current efforts, our vision for the future, answered all their questions, and this, according to Lynn Kiger of the Chamber of Commerce, who leads the class, this is the first time they ever had an actual tugboat passing through the lock when the class was there. So they got to see the whole operation up close, and it was a good day. So if there are any questions, I'll definitely take those. But other than that, Mr. President, that's my report.
Any questions for Nick? Okay, moving on, engineering report, CPRA, Daniel, you have anything?
Just some quick updates to some agreements on the funding.
Come to the podium.
That's fine. That's not much. Probably not worth the walk, but
We'll make you do it anyway.
yeah, that's fine. Most of these are related to the projects that Nick showed you on the
Okay.
annual plan update. Section F berm, that's an amendment. Section A East interim levee improvements. Both those agreements have been signed by CPRA. They're actually, should be en route to you guys for
I have
signature.
one already.
yeah, we have,
you got one
we
this
have
morning.
section.
Okay, great, so. The only other one I had was we call it T-154, it's the General LaRose to Golden Meadow. It's to catch the funding for Section D South and E North. That one is a little behind the other ones. It's in the final review prior to the executive signature on our end, so won't be long, those will be in place. All right,
Thank you, Dan.
that is it.
Any questions for Daniel? Thank you, Daniel. Corps of Engineers, anyone here? Project Engineers, Picciolo and Associates, Joe.
Yes, on our LaRose Lock project, so the project plans and all the permitting is complete.
we would be ready to go out for bids. We're working currently on right-of-ways with Ryan Collins and his dad Ray on identifying and then purchasing right-of-ways. And we're also working with Nick on whatever support he needs for funding. On Section E North levee improvements, Construction Site Specialties LLC is the contractor. They did move back on site within the last month or so, and they have been working sporadically, weather depending. The weather is giving them trouble. We are having a meeting with them tomorrow to get an update on their progress and what their plan forward is. So this is to elevate the crown to plus 14 and the southeast corner of Clovelly Farms on E North. We have no pay application this month from Construction Site Specialties. We do have outer limit contractors working out there, and they're taking the material that Construction Site Specialties is placing on the berm and then shaping that into the crown of the levee. And we have pay application number 4 from outer limit in the amount of $72,040 even, and we recommend you pay that.
Okay, gentlemen, we heard the recommendation of our engineer to pay outer limit construction, pay application number 4, amount of $72,040. Moved by Brian, second by Brett. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed.
On the 2024 centerline survey, so we've completed all the work. We have provided a drawing to Nick for review. We'll finalize that with Nick in discussions with him in the next week or so, and it'll be final. And then we're gonna go ahead again and do a formal report and present that data to the Corps. I know the Corps did their own survey last year, but we had compared their survey to our survey, and we're very, very, very close. It's hard to even see the difference in the elevation in some places. So our data is just as good as their data, and we anticipate that we're doing it a lot cheaper than they are. And Hurricane Ida storm damage repairs to the pump station, so Grand Isle Shipyard's the contractor. This project's complete. We finished all the work at the floodgate in LaRose and then all the work at the Lee, Ontario locks. Grand Isle Shipyard has submitted to us pay application number 7, which is their request for retainage. We do have a clear lien certificate, so we recommend you pay them the final payment in the amount of $236,436.90.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of our engineer to pay GIS pay application number 7, amount of $236,436.90. Moved by Matt, second by Mitch. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed.
And the maintenance of the north sector gates at the Lee, Ontario locks. So Sea Level Construction is the contractor. They did remove our gates and they brought them to Franklin, Louisiana to blast them and paint them. They've blasted and painted everything, and they've put the first coat of paint on it. They're beginning to put the second coat of paint on it now. Weather depending, in a couple of weeks they'll be done and bringing them back. So we didn't have a whole lot of repairs.
No
There were some small repairs, but nothing significant so far.
Jeff,
that's good.
did you have change
11 years.
orders 4 on the one before this?
For pump station repairs.
Storm damage?
To add the contract time.
Oh, I didn't include that one.
Okay.
So,
I have a question, Joe. I might have missed it when I went to the restroom. The $300,000 estimate on repairing the wear and tear and the damage by the barge to the Lee, Ontario, is that included in your?
it's not included in this project.
So nothing has been done as far as preparing the bids as of yet?
No, sir.
but that will be done soon.
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't know if we have that on the agenda,
I
but.
didn't see it, that's what I'm asking.
So on that project, what we've done is we did an underwater, can we just finish this quick?
Yeah, go ahead, I'll leave it to you. I thought
We
you were
have,
finished.
for sea level, we have pay application number 1 and the amount of $224,637 even, and we recommend that for approval.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation, engineer, pay application number 1 is sea level, amount of $224,637. Moved by Mr. Ronald, second by Monty, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed.
So on the damage, we went out there and we looked at the damage. We have some cracking that occurred basically in that southeast corner, okay? There's a bull nose there that they hit, that the concrete's really broken behind it. And then on the back side, on the fender side, that's broken also. And then there's some cracking going in, some new cracks that we believe developed as part of this collision underneath the control house in the machinery room. So we did get a diver to go out there and look at everything, and there's some bolts missing on the seal plate that are embed bolts. Some of them are bent and some of them are missing. And, but he can't see any cracking below the water line. He said, you know, there's a lot of marine growth. There's nothing significant that he can see. So we also got a structural group out of Baton Rouge that specializes in repairing concrete. He came out there and we developed a scope of work as to what cracks need to be, what concrete needs to be fixed and what cracks need to be sealed, and these seal plates need to be fixed also. So what I did is I put together a report, damage report, and I sent that to Nick. He's gonna review that. I sent it to him earlier today, so he hadn't had a chance to look at it. But then we'll develop a set of plans and specifications and then go out for bid. That's the plan.
You have an idea how long that would take to prepare it and then to do the repairs? Just an estimate.
Well, I think our plans are about a week away from being complete, our plans and specs, and we can go out for bid, which is gonna take 30 days, so.
Okay. Is that something that could affect the replacement of the gates back again?
No, we think when
wouldn't
sea
hold that
level is
back.
ready to put the gates back in, we can put them in.
We can have it
Okay.
Right.
That's my concern.
It's not
to
gonna
have that-
affect anything.
open, yeah.
Now, when we do the work, we're gonna probably be closing the bayou down during the daylight hours for maybe a week to 2 weeks while they do the repairs.
Yeah.
So we'll have to notify everybody.
Complete closing or just allow
I
intermittent?
would say complete closing during the daylight hours.
Yeah, you have to pump it
What
out.
happens to
Put
traffic
something
in the by
around it to
itself?
pump it
How's
out.
that?
What happens to the traffic through by itself for 1 week?
They're gonna have to
That's
wait
at night.
until,
At night, yeah,
Okay.
just the daytime.
Okay,
yeah.
I got you.
then till the evening to go. No, like when we lifted the gate, at 7 o'clock in the morning, we closed the bayou, and at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, we opened it again.
Yeah, okay.
That would be the similar schedule. Okay. All right, so Mary's informing me that I missed change order number 4 on the repairs to the pump stations and floodgates for Grand Isle Shipyard.
You need a copy of it?
That's just an addition of contract days, 401
401.
contract days, and we do recommend you approve that. No extra money.
Okay. All right, you've heard the recommendation, engineer, to accept the change order number 4 to add 401 days to that contract time for Grand Isle Shipyard. Motion by Scott, second by Mac. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed.
And also in Section A East levee project, that's one of the projects Nick mentioned in his report with CPRA. Our project plans and specifications are complete. We went through a design review with CPRA. They asked us to do some additional geotechnical work, which Eustis Engineering was out on site. They did all of the borings and CPTs. They currently have all that data in their office and they're analyzing it right now. I would expect in the next month or so, they'll be able to give us the results of their investigations. And a replacement of discharge pipe at pump station number 8. Sea Level is also the contractor on that. They're replacing the discharge pipe from where it comes out the levee out into the water. They have purchased all the pipe. They're fabricating it at their fabrication shop, and then they'll be moving it down for removing the old pipe and putting in a new pipe. So we do have pay application number 1 in the amount of $39,465 even, and we do recommend you pay that.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of engineer to pay Sea Level. Pay application number 1, amount of $39,465. Moved by Mr. Rowland, second by Brett. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed.
Thank you.
Any questions for Joe? Thank you, Joe. GIS, John?
John Plaisance with GIS Engineering. We have several projects to talk to you all about today. The AE's Lafourche Water Retention Project. I am happy to say we finally got the DNR permit for that last month. We checked on the Corps permit. It's still good for another couple of years. We've got one letter of no objection that will need y'all's signature, so we'll get that to Nick tomorrow, his signature, and that'll wrap that up. That kind of leaves the servitudes to be obtained from, I think there are 5 property owners in the area. They will be ready to advertise for that one. The D North Ramp project, we are making some progress on that as well. Nick and I met with the Allans last Friday. We decided pretty much on which borrow area they will want us to take the material for that in. I've spoken to the contractor that's supposed to excavate that material out. He's checking to see if that quote he gave us a while back is still good, and if so, we'll be able to start that pretty soon. That information is so new, I haven't even had a chance to tell Nick that yet. Reconnection of Barton Canal to Lafourche. We're requesting authorization to advertise for bids from y'all for that project. So y'all will need to vote on that.
All right, sure. We need a motion. We need a motion to give John the authorization to advertise. Moved by Mr. Ronald, second by Mac. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
And again, the funding for this project is being shared with Drainage District Number 1 funds in the amount of $878,000.
And thank you for that authorization. The first advertisement was in today's paper. So we'll be taking bids, I believe, on the 18th of April.
Okay.
And the South Flood Wall to Crawfish Farm Phase 3, which are the tie-ins at the very end to replace those HESCO baskets. We provided some information to Nick. He's reviewing that. So sometime before y'all next meeting, we'll probably be ready to advertise for that one as well.
That's it? No money?
That's it?
No money.
No money. Damn.
Any questions for John?
This month.
Cheap this month. Oh, next month.
Thank you, John.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, Angelette Design, Neil.
All right, on the C North Levee Improvement Project, the contractor, Compo & Sons, is continuing work to raise that levee up to 13.5. This is in the La Rose area on the east side, on the west side. We're recommending approval of their invoice number 1230 in the amount of $111,765.02.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of engineer to pay Compo & Sons invoice number 1230. Amount of $111,765. Moved by Mitch, second by Brett. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed.
All right, next project is the C South flood side repairs. This is in Cutoff on the west side. That contractor, again, is Compo & Sons. They're continuing work to rebuild that flood side. You can see on the left, there's a lot of erosion and loss on that side, especially during Hurricane Ida. The debris removal kind of exaggerated that, so we're working to rebuild that, and we're recommending approval of their invoice number 1234 in the amount of $17,897.43.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of engineer pay Compo and Sons, invoice number 1234, amount of $17,897.43. Moved by Mac, second by Scott. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed.
All right, next project is La Rose Flood Wall Vessel Impact Barrier. That contractor is Lowland Construction. They're continuing work on the project, starting in that east side near the old Mercer boat launch and working their way towards the Intracoastal Overpass. We're recommending approval of their application for payment number 3 in the amount of $528,684.50.
Okay, gentlemen, you've heard the recommendation of engineer to pay, you said Lowland?
Yes,
Lowland
sir.
Construction, okay. Application number 3, the amount of $528,684.50. Moved by Brian, second by Mr. Rowland. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Mitch.
Motion carries. What?
You know
Oh, you're opposed?
You know I'm not opposing. I'm opposed
Okay,
every time.
no, Mitch was against.
Yeah.
All right.
Also on this project, we have a recommendation for change order number 1, which is going to be the removal and reconstruction of a 7-pile timber fender that was damaged at the La Rose floodgate. While we have a contractor out there with this pile driving capability, we want to go ahead and replace that. We're recommending that change order number 1 for $22,500. That's going to be for the removal and the reinstallation of the 7-pile cluster and an additional 7 contract days.
So gentlemen, this is a pile cluster that's near the La Rose floodgate. And this is something that Drake noticed one day while he was out at the gate, sent me a picture, and I got with Neil because it makes the most sense while we have these guys on site. This would be the cheapest way to get that repaired.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of our engineer to, for change order number 1 to Lowland in the amount of $22,500. Moved by Mac, second by Brett. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed.
Okay, and last project we have is a Section F berm improvements. This is on the east side in La Rose. That contractor, Sea Level Construction, is continuing work to improve that protected side berm. We're recommending approval of their application for payment number 5 in the amount of $96,520.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of our engineer to pay Sea Level, pay application number 5 in the amount of $96,520. Moved by Monty, second by Scott. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed.
All right, that's all I have, Mr. President.
Appreciate it. Let's see. Okay, we're moving on to Delta Coast. Big Mitch, come on down. Big Mitch.
Haven't been here in a while, so I figure I owe y'all a few words.
Oh,
Maybe you can reintroduce yourself.
You made my day.
They always told me if you're in South Lafourche and someone's not messing with you, they don't like you. So y'all must really, really like me. I think, what's going on right now, it's important to you guys, is the Corps is really diving into the tie-in around Pump Station 7. So even more so than working on the design of the floodgate, they're going through a process to figure out how to tie into your levee system. So just got off the phone a few minutes ago with the project manager. But I guess what I need to do for you guys is come present maybe next month, show you what alternatives they're looking at. Obviously, some of them will impact and make us relocate Pump Station 7. I think if the Corps has its preferred alternative, it would not affect Pump Station 7 greatly. But there are some disadvantages to that in terms of some of the facilities right there. So, our desire in talking with Nick is to try to build something that encompasses that oil field facility right there inside the system, which would make us relocate that pump station, which is not really that big of a deal in the scope of, building a $200 million floodgate and, a $50, $60 million tie-in. at a minimum. So, those details have not been worked out, but we will keep you guys informed of what's going on. I think it's really important that we get something that makes sense right now. In terms of time with the Corps, I mean, this is something that could take forever. But everybody's working on the same page right now. So that's all I wanted to say. Certainly, if you guys have any concerns over what we're doing, please let me know so that I can relay that information to the Corps. But that's it.
All right, I appreciate it, Mitch. Any questions? Okay, all south. This is Stevie left. Anything to report? Anybody still here? Okay. Moving on down. All south. Legal permits, Mitch, anything?
We got one permit, Greater Lafourche Port Commission. After reviewing this permit, looking for the board to approve this permit.
Okay. You've heard the recommendation of our committee chairman to approve the permit for the Greater Lafourche Port Commission. Moved by Marty, second by Mac. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. That's it?
Yes, sir.
Mitch?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Board attorney, anything to report? Okay. Finance committee, Monty?
Okay, Mr. President, the Finance Committee met and we reviewed all invoices and we recommend they be paid as presented.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of our chairman to approve all invoices. Motion by Brett, second by Mr. Rowland. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Personnel committee.
Okay, me again. So Personnel Committee was granted authority to review all invoices to fill the position. Applications, I'm sorry, I'm invoices last. To review all applications for the hiring of a lock operator. We met and we reviewed all the applications and we hired Bo Blanchard to fill that position. He's currently operating right now. So
Okay.
I think it's just FYI.
Yeah. Any questions for personnel?
That's it.
Okay, moving on to old business. Before we move on to window, I saw Mr. Larry Picciolo walked in a little bit late, and Larry, we spoke earlier about all you guys that were there at the beginning and how much we appreciate what y'all did, and it must have been some tough times back there, but we definitely want to acknowledge you. Okay, moving on to old business, recognition ceremony for Wendell Curall.
Who's that?
Man, if a good chance we didn't have these mics at our office, our meetings would have lasted 6 hours. But I'm gonna read a resolution and then Wendell better come up. Whereas Wendell A. Curall, having served in the capacity of General Manager, Executive Secretary for the Board of Commissions of the Lafourche Levee District since 1980, has provided leadership and direction to both staff and board, and whereas Mr. Curall's efforts in overseeing design, construction, improvement, and maintenance of the Larose to Golden Meadow Hurricane Levee Protection System for many decades has saved thousands of lives, prevented hundreds of millions of dollars of flood damage to homes and businesses in the Lafourche community. Whereas the success of the levee system, together with Mr. Curall's lifelong advocacy for coastal protection and community safety, is widely renowned to state and national organizations. Whereas Mr. Curall has been recognized twice by the National Hurricane Conference for his leadership in flood risk reduction, has served as chairman of the Barre-Terrebonne Natural Estuary Program, president of the Lafourche Chamber of Commerce, and president of the Louisiana Floodplain Management Association, and has been an active contributing member of such critical entities as FEMA, National Hurricane Mitigation Task Force, the National Association of State Floodplain Managers, the Coastal Protection and Restoration Authority, the Lafourche Parish Coastal Zone Management, and the Governor's Advisory Commission on Coastal Protection, Restoration, and Conservation. And whereas Mr. Curall was also the visionary of the 100-year memorial of the Great Cheniere Hurricane of 1893, which manifested as a regional festival that attracted nearly 10,000 visitors from around the world to Lafourche communities in 1993. for the grassroots cultural organization that emerged the communities in the Shenya Hurricane Centennial, to which he has served as its only president for 29 years. Now therefore be resolved that the Lafourche Levee District does hereby acknowledge the success that has led Mr. Cural's many recognition and awards and success of the Lafourche, the Golden Meadow Hurricane Protection System, and does hereby thank and congratulate Mr. Cural for his many years of service in successfully fighting for representing the Lafourche Levee District and the residents and businesses for which it entrusted his noble responsibility of protecting. And that is signed by the commissioners. And you have the, and we'd like to present this to Mr. Cural on his retirement. God bless his wife.
And you have the picture also. After.
Everybody appreciates it. And everybody will leave
Let them talk too?
But first thing, it was an honor.
A few words.
Honor to be able to serve this community. It made me who I am, and it was nothing but payback, all the work. Number two, that's a lot of stuff. This system is a big system. It takes a ton of people. First thing, we got to thank our elected officials, starting before 1980, for appointing great people on the board. Because you can only work as good as your boss lets you work. We appoint the board, the elected officials appointed y'all to make sure work got done the right way for the right reason. They'll say they do it. And the focus stay there. The one job, keep order on people's homes and businesses. Everything pointed to that. I was just talking about how happy I was to get on the levee and see some progress going. Because you know why? Nothing matters. None of this stuff, none of our buildings, none of the things we do or vote make a difference until we get that stuff on the ground and starts protecting our people. And this board has done that. The other thing is the people. We would not be here. Ida would have devastated us had they not voted taxes twice. And what we tried to do and the board did is show that every dollar that they put out, they paid a lot of money in taxes to all kinds of entities. But the dollar they spent over here, they got the benefit for that dollar. They got their money's worth. So again, I want to thank everybody. And one name is not mentioned, but man, we had so many legal battles at the beginning. We had no money. And Harwell Herring, okay, he worked for $35 an hour while prices were going up. And he charged other people more because the board got him started. But that work he did when we had no money, $800,000 a year when I started, we found ways to improve. And then the other thing I see, Joey Wagner, and with all the battles we have with the core people, the people we work with, they understood what we were trying to do. They couldn't always agree because their boss comes from Washington. There's nothing more bureaucratic than a core attorney, okay? But they worked with us and I learned a lot of stuff there. And then the other thing is all the staff from the beginning, all of them put the extra hours in. We've worked and have a great staff out there. Nick's here doing a good job, and we got the field better than we've ever had it. So everything's in great shape, but it took everybody to do it, And then it's a real thank you for me because I could never have worked for people who didn't want to do it the best way, and the boards that I work for. And I got to thank Leon and Ram. I think you were the president the longest time that I was here. Yeah, and Leon had I think 19. And then Kate and everything stayed in line. So again, I want to thank you all for the honor of working for the people of South Lafourche. Thank you.
Thank you. And I failed also a while ago to mention Mr. Llewellyn Pete, who was a representative at one time. I'm sure he made some appointments, and we appreciate you. So moving on to any new business. Any new business? No need for executive session? Okay, we got a motion by Mr. Ronald, second by Monty, that we adjourn. All in favor? Aye. Motion passed, and go straight to the back and we'll get some refreshments for everyone.